Hi folks, the Filipina P here, and things are not going well for relationships in the West. So what else is new, right? Well, I've recently been looking at some astonishing surveys and studies, and I really fear for the future of our Western friends. Marriage is on the decline, fewer people are staying together, fewer children are being born, and a man's chances of finding a rewarding partnership are slipping away. Well, none of that might be news to you. The reasons behind it are both fascinating and downright scary. So let's take a closer look at what's going on over there as women chase their dreams and ironically become more miserable than ever. Is the future of relationships really doomed? Or is there still an opportunity for happiness? Because happiness is something a lot of women in the West seem incapable of. According to a study by Yale University called The Paradox of Declining Female Happiness, women's overall happiness was always greater than the average man's until the 1970s, when their happiness levels began to erode compared to their male counterparts. Then in the 90s, for the first time since data has been collected, women are now far less happy than men, and the gap continues to grow. But why? Today's Western women have more advantages than just about anyone on the planet. They have top-of-the-line education, or so they think. They have access to just about any goods and services in existence, and they have the money to pay for it themselves. So what's the problem now? Could it be an abundance of choices coupled with less accountability for their actions that have combined to create a toxic mess? A big brother government that caters to their every whim? A culture that tells them that they deserve everything under the sun and more? Or is it something less complicated, like you men are still not giving them what they want? Well, let's find out what they want. Maybe it's something really reasonable. First, we have a study from OkCupid, which discovered that women found 80% of men either unattractive or below average. Now just think about that for a sec. 8 out of 10 men are unattractive? You'd think that'd be closer to 50%, but oh no, they only want the top 20 percentile. So what are the rest of you guys supposed to do? And what is it that the women are complaining about? Facial disfigurements or a potbelly the size of Texas? Well, let's take a look at another surprising survey.
Men and women were asked if they got 80% of everything they want in their ideal mate, would they be happy with that? Women said, no, that's settling. And men said, 80%, I'd be thrilled, that's a catch.
What are women too picky about here?
Men and women were asked what would be a deal breaker for going on a second date. And men named 3 things. She has to be cute enough. She doesn't have to look like Angelina Jolie. She just has to be cute enough. She has to be warm and kind. And she has to be interesting to talk to. Really valid criteria.
Ding, 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 ding. Pretty simple.
Right. Okay, reasonable, right? The women came back with 300 things that would rule out a guy for a second date. And we're talking about like another 2 hours and maybe a free dinner. And there were things like he wore a brown belt with black shoes. Or we were having a really good time and I thought he was cute and he was interesting, but then he did this Austin Powers impression and I just can't get that out of my mind and I can't go out with him again.
So let me get this straight. 80% of guys would be thrilled to find a woman who was cute, kind, and fun to talk to. But Western women thought that only getting 80% of what they wanted would be settling. And you'll be disqualified from the dating pool if you're wearing the wrong color belt. Now, I've said it before, but you guys are so screwed. Apparently, they've been told that every one of them deserves a flawless man to complement their own perfection. And that means that men with a few dings and dents get left in the dust. So what does all this mean for the future of relationships over there? Well, one of the obvious effects is a dramatically falling birth rate. In the US, the number of births has fallen by 23% since 2007, which in the long run is a societal dead end. Is that because men no longer want offspring? Or is it because women don't want to interrupt their careers? No matter the reason, it's an unsustainable path for any country. But I'm not seeing much concern about the problem from people who are more interested in themselves. And there doesn't seem to be any end in sight, because according to a happiness expert in an article from The Guardian, unmarried and childless women report being the happiest subgroup in the entire population. Now, I'm not sure how that can be true if females are also reporting a steep decline in their overall satisfaction levels. So maybe some women are just kidding themselves. You gotta love that cognitive dissonance. But regardless, the message being broadcast to the ladies is clear. You don't need no man. Now, I could do a whole series of videos about who I think's really behind all this, but that'd get into politics, which is something I won't do yet. The effect of all this is downright scary, as new data suggests that by 2030, just 6 years from now, 45% of women will be single. Yep, almost half. And of course, that'll have an effect on you men as well. So what's the answer? Swear off women altogether? Go to the gym and improve yourself so you can be one of the lucky 20%? Try harder to be what women want so you can make them happy again? Well, I ran across an interesting channel called The Happy Wife School by a woman who talks a lot of sense and gives some really great advice. She's only got about 39,000 subscribers, but I really think she deserves a lot more. Let's see what she has to say.
You are not the source of your wife's unhappiness, and that there is nothing you can do or stop doing that will make her happy. Nothing that you hear in marriage counseling, nothing that she asks you to read, not speaking speaking her love language, writing love notes to her, making her feel important, doing special things for her. None of those things will make your wife happy, because she is unhappy in herself, and she is the only solution to her unhappiness. And if you try to do the things you think will make her happy, she will resent it, find fault in it, and it won't be enough, and she'll find all the other things that she thinks you need to do to make her happy. So good men have to retire from trying to make your wife happy, and retire from throwing your actions and feelings into an empty bucket with holes.
So the message I got from this is that there's really nothing you can do about making Western women happy. Their misery is on them. I'm not surprised to hear that, because I have to admit, when I look at the lives many of them lead over there in prosperous countries, I have no clue what they're complaining about. But that still doesn't solve your problem, which is an issue of supply and demand. If there are fewer Western women looking for men, then the women that are looking for partners think that they can be as picky as they want and hold out for the perfect guy. To them, it's a buyer's market. The result of that is a culture of women who disqualify a guy for owning an older model car or having an unpopular political view. And part of that is human nature. I mean, let's reverse the situation. Let's say you lived in a society where there was an overabundance of women looking for relationships. They didn't need six-packs and six figures. They were just happy to find a good man who loved them. Wouldn't the men in that society quickly realize that the odds were stacked in their favor and start getting more selective about finding a higher quality mate? Well, for those of you that missed the irony, I just described the situation in the Philippines. Your available pool of women interested in marriage and relationships is shrinking rapidly, but ours is not. We still view marriage as the gold standard and the ultimate model of success. Now, just from the time I spent in the West, I know there are some good women over there who still have their heads screwed on straight and still value a traditional relationship. I'm also fully aware that there are plenty of Filipinas who'd strip the meat off you like a piranha. But we're talking about averages here, the forces that motivate the average woman in each society. It really irks me when I read comments that say, all women are the same, because no, in many ways, we're not. Our basic hardware is the same, but our software can be very different because of cultural influences. And that's what makes your average Filipina different from your average Western woman. Both of us have the same basic needs, but the things we require to make us happy couldn't be more different. All women have a tendency toward hypergamy, But that just means marrying up, choosing someone who's in a better position than we are. It doesn't mean dropping a man every time a bigger fish swims by. Western women may do that, but the majority of Filipinas recognize a good thing when they see it. It's all about meeting a threshold for security. If you think women just want stacks of money, and whoever has the tallest stack wins, then you've got a very distorted view of what's actually going on here. But given what many of you have been through, I can certainly understand why you might think that's the case. Now, if you're one of those guys that truly believes that all women are scheming, conniving, heartless liars, then that's what you're liable to find. For everyone's sake, please just stay where you are. You'd only be bringing the Western poison with you. But if you believe that men and women were meant to be together, and that there are ladies whose only dream is to be a loving and faithful wife, then you're welcome here, and you'll have pretty good odds of finding what you're looking for. As far as me personally, I look forward to being a traditional housewife or a trad wife. I want someone to share my life with, someone who snuggles up against me at night, who literally has my back. I'm happy to take care of the house, and one of my greatest joys will be putting good food on the table when my husband comes home from work. And you'll find that I'm not the only one. There are plenty of Filipinas looking for the same thing. Now, I understand that some people don't crave those things, and more power to them. But I can't help believing that the vast majority of people not only want, but need that kind of connection. And what's the alternative? Having a few years of thrilling one-night stands and hanging out with friends at the club? And then what? The majority of a woman's life will not be spent in a hot body with men falling all over themselves to open the door for her. All too soon, the time will come when she's sitting alone and staring out the window with no one who gives a damn about her. That may sound good to a Western woman, but Filipinos think we have a different purpose. A purpose that involves a man in our lives. Yes, sometimes we can be jealous, hot-blooded, irrational, and even childish. But if you get a good one, we can be the most loyal and wonderful companion you can imagine. And we know how to be happy. So if you ever get tired of being surrounded by women who are constantly miserable no matter what you do, just remember that there are plenty of women over here who'd love to have you by our side. Well, that's it for this episode. And the next time you see me, I'll be wearing a Santa costume. Yep, it's that time again. And this year's Christmas special is gonna be the best one yet. Count on it. See you on Friday.
Sir, do you have any idea how fast you were speeding? Speeding through my video? Skipping all the ads? And not paying attention to a word I said? I'm gonna let you go with a warning this time. A warning that you better give a thumbs up on this video and subscribe to my channel. Got it?
I don't even want to watch your stupid videos.
Alright, out of the car. I think this one needs a full cavity search. The hard way. And for the rest of you good citizens, may I suggest watching my other videos too. Just remember, I can have you in handcuffs anytime I want.